Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, or maybe good evening. Thank you all for joining us here. We are so excited to have you. Welcome to today's Bridges event. These career advice panels are really special opportunities, and many of you who are here today have joined us before, but some of you might be new. Just when you think that we've brought some of the biggest and brightest minds to this virtual round table for you today, we do it again. And today is no exception. So get ready. I know there's some more folks who are going to be joining in. So go ahead, get settled. And we're going to jump right in because we have a lot to cover today. My name is Cody, and I'm the Director of Community at Paragon One, and it's really an honor to be a part of our team at Paragon One, creating remote externship opportunities with amazing global partners like PwC, Pfizer, Meta, National Geographic, Teach for America, a few of those names that you've probably heard before. And it's also an equal opportunity to host and facilitate these Bridges career advice panels. We work at Paragon One very diligently to bridge the gap between students and employers every single day. And that's what this Bridges event is serving to do as well. But we also can't do it without you. So we hope that you'll join us in keeping the energy and intention flowing as we get started with today's event. So let me introduce our amazing moderator for today's session, Anna Guerrera. Anna, how are you?
Hi, Cody. So good and so excited to be here.
Awesome. We are so delighted to have you with us as well. Everyone, Anna is a senior economist at the World Bank, working to increase climate actions and World Bank investments. She has over 15 years of program management and economic analysis and sustainability, ESG, and climate. She led the climate strategy for the Latin American and Caribbean region of the World Bank, increasing climate finance from 19% to 26%. Her analysis of removing public fuel subsidies in Indonesia supported one of the few successful reforms impacting over $25 billion annually. That's a B, just to make sure you heard that right. She has managed 22 multidisciplinary teams for high-impact projects in analytics and climate, environmental management, and urban planning, such as the $1.3 billion, that's a B again, investment strategy for the Danube Delta Biosphere region in Romania. And Anna also holds a PhD in environmental economics from the University of California at Berkeley. Thank you so much for joining us today, Anna. Thank you.
Cody, such a warm welcome. Thank you. I'm very excited to be talking to the students today. I owe my success to my education, and my achievements totally play up on my technical skills, and very excited to have panelists here for a cool discussion today. So let me start with today's panelists and their stories and experiences to share. And Karen, we have Karen van Bergen joining us. She is the Dean of Omnicom University and also the Chief Environmental Sustainability Officer for Omnicom. She leads the ESG strategy, the network initiatives, and oversees all of the ES reporting. So prior to this, Karen was the CEO of Porto Novelli. She served 2 stints with McDonald's in Europe and Asia. And she also worked with the Coca-Cola Company and the Outboard Marine Corporation. Hi, Karen. I also know you are into Muay Thai. Is that correct?
Yes, Anna. Hello. And I'm super happy to be here. Well, hello, everyone. Yes, I do. I have a lot of, which is very important in your career, that you have a lot of fun things to do as well to balance out the work. So Muay Thai is one of those.
Wow. So Karen's leadership has been recognized, numerous honors, including Ad Age, Woman to Watch, the New York Business Journal Woman of Influence, PR jury president, the Cannes International Festival of Creativity. We're so excited to have you, Karen. Thank you so much.
Wonderful to be here. Thanks for that beautiful introduction.
Thank you. Next, we have Lebron Guerrera of Airbnb. She is the Senior Principal Financial Reporting at Airbnb, and she follows the SEC reporting processes and establishes the company's automation and cross-functional integration to deliver this reporting enterprise-wide. Lebron first started her career at what is now PricewaterhouseCoopers, we all know, where her standout international experience took her to Colombia and Brazil, and she managed the company's South and Central American region and gained fluency in Spanish and proficiency in Portuguese. Wow. Since then, she has worked at corporations such as TrueBlue, Whirlpool, Intermac, and she's developed international accounting policies and procedures that support the integration of an international business following an acquisition. So, Lebron, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and sharing with such an outstanding panelist of folks here with great backgrounds. So very excited to have this conversation with the students and to be amongst such a great crowd of folks.
Yes, Lebron is a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the National Association of Black Accountants, and she also serves as a finance leader for nonprofit boards such as the Valley of Vocation and the Mockingbird Society. Thank you, Lebron, so much. Our third and final speaker is Manjit Jas, who is the Managing Director and Global Head of Research, ESG Research at S&P. He's part of the leadership team at S&P Global Sustainable One. And he oversees the research, the data capabilities, including specialized climate and environmental research. He leads a team of over 300 analysts, I'm humbled, sustainability, environmental specialists, and researchers. Manjit led the ESG ratings business at sustainable investment pioneer Robeco Sum prior to its acquisition by S&P Global in January 2020. Since 2011, Manjit has held several roles in ESG research and technology, both engaging with corporates and investors. And in his current role, he works with other senior leaders at S&P to define and deliver the cross-divisional ESG strategy at S&P Global. Manjit, hi.
Hello, lovely to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Where are you joining us from?
From Switzerland, actually. So it's just my evening is just starting.
Thank you so much. So very excited, amazing bios. I can't wait for our students to hear from each of you. So let's jump in. And I see already a student is chiming in. Thank you for that. Let me jump in. I have 4 questions for our panelists, and then we would like to get your questions. Please post as much as you can, and we'll open in about 20 minutes for your questions. All right, let's start off with an easy question. What does your day look like at work? Is it a great place to work? Maybe we can start with Lebron. Can you kick us off? What is it like being in your role at such a large tech company from an accounting perspective, working on sustainability?
Yeah, so sustainability has been, going on for quite a while. It hadn't really crossed over into sort of the SEC reporting area until recently when the SEC came out with the proposed rules. And so for me, my exposure was actually not at the company, but outside of the company. I actually was part of a group called the SEC Professionals Group, I was active in that social or that professional group. And they decided they wanted to put an ESG committee together, which I raised my hand for because I knew this was important. And then they asked if there was anyone that was interested in being a chair, which I raised my hand again. I said, this is really, really important. And so I kind of started there with being on their board. And then that kind of transformed into me being more involved in ESG. I was actually working with colleagues in the committee, hearing what they had to say. And then and that's how I met some of the folks here at the sustainability event in DC. That same group took us there. And so I just kind of kept following that thread. And then as it started to pick up at the company I'm at now, I was able to sync with the group because we have dedicated teams that deal with our sustainability reporting and tracking. And I was able to sync up with them. And now I'm part of a larger group that is cross-functional group that meets and talks about sustainability, the rules coming down, how does that impact us in all the different areas that we are. So my everyday is not just sustainability, but it definitely has been infused into a lot of the things that I do.
Very insightful. Thank you. Karen, how about you? The WineRep Group reports that there are only 95 CSOs today. What is it like for you?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. That number will definitely increase rapidly over the coming years. So Omnicom is a marketing and communication services holding company. So we have advertising agencies, we have PR agencies, we have digital agencies. So it's a very, very broad collective of over 300 agencies in 90 countries. So for us, environmental sustainability is really, really important. For our clients, it's really important. So my day, I mean, you said it's an easy question. It's not an easy question. No day is the same. It does everything with my amazing team. They're on today as well. Hi, Angie and Gabe. Thanks for joining. We do everything from overseeing the reporting to, we have a lot of client conversations because our clients, of course, want to know what we're committing to and what we're contributing. Then we do a lot of service. We participate in all the standard surveys. And right now, we are submitting to the Science Based Target Initiative, which is basically the commitment of businesses to keep global warming within 1.5 degrees Celsius. And so we're just finalizing our footprint, which is a big, big thing. So we're very excited about that.
Very exciting. All right. And next to Manjit, your company is very different. S&P has emphasized indices, data. How does your work compare in contrast to the others?
Well, I mean, I would say we're very much kind of at the intersection of financial markets. So we provide, information and data and analytics for, investors, but also companies to hopefully make better decisions that are steered by sustainability intelligence. And so I would say, my role has evolved, the conversation has evolved quite a bit over the last, 10 years or so, where, it used to be that you spent your day trying to convince your clients that sustainability was an important thing and that they should consider this, and that there was not just, it wasn't just about doing good for the sake of doing good, but that there was business value in tackling these challenges. And today, I would say just in the last 2 years, that conversation has changed rapidly. Now you almost can't keep up because the demand is so high. So, it was before, you spent your day kind of arguing that this is important, and now it's really having a more engaged conversation about, solutions that we can provide to help our clients.
Thank you. That definitely resonates with me as well. Sort of at the beginning of my career, I've always tried to make the economic case for environmental considerations. And now we see people take it as, yes, of course we need to do that. We want to be at the forefront. And my general workday, I guess, would be similar to maybe Manjit's a little bit in international development. I combine analysis and working in operations, so directly with project teams that provide loans to developing countries in implementing climate All right. Well, so let's move to question number 2. I would love to hear about resources that you would recommend to our students to learn more about your company and especially its sustainability journey. So Karen, if we start with you, I know that Omnicom has a corporate responsibility report coming out soon. Can you pick something to refer the students to?
Yeah, so definitely, and I'm hoping that Angie or Gabe can put it in the chat. But so we have our annual corporate responsibility report, which covers all of ESG, particularly environment and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Which basically has kept up our program. We've been doing this. We've been reporting on emissions for quite a while. It will be more structured. It will be looking different going forward once we've submitted to SBTi, as I said. We also issued our first DE&I report. That's not my doing. That's my colleague, Emily Graham, who's in charge of that. But that's also a very interesting report on how we're scoring on DE&I. And then if you want to go into more detail, we have a consultancy called Interbrand. It's a branding consultancy, and they do a lot of work with big companies on who is really doing a good job on environmental sustainability, and they keep track of that in rankings as well. Mm-hmm. So those would be my recommendations for resources to learn a little bit more about what we're doing.
Thank you. Manjit, how about you? I know Sustainable One encompasses many services, many products. Where would you point students to?
So obviously, S&P Global, we have our impact report that we publish annually that really talks about the work that we're doing as a company more operationally, things like diversity and inclusion, our own environmental footprint. But obviously, us as a company, our biggest impact is probably through our products and services, as I mentioned before. So if you go to spglobal.com/ESG, that's kind of the entry portal into all the different things that we're doing across all the different parts of S&P, whether it be mobility, commodities. Yeah, there's a wealth of information ranging from, very short insights all the way to things that are much more complex. Also, we have a podcast. I would highly recommend that. It's called the ESG Insider podcast. It comes out weekly. That is the most downloaded podcast across all of S&P Global. That's produced out of my team, and that's really interesting because it's really, every week the landscape is shifting so much. So keeping up to date, or if you're interested in everything from environmental sustainability to diversity to other topics, there's always fascinating external guests that we invite onto that podcast to interview. So certainly would recommend that. That's on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud. Should be easy to find.
Great, thank you. Evanshir, how about you? You published recently a 20-page report. Can you talk about this ESG update and what major learnings you'd want students to understand from it?
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to add a hyperlink for everyone to see it. So Airbnb is a relatively new company, not completely, but they've been really involved in sustainability for a while. The report that came out earlier this year kind of brought everything together that you probably would have been able to see in separate, releases of just information of announcements. And so in this report, it's pretty holistic, even though it's 20 pages, it's packed with a lot of great information. One of the things that I would say is important to know from each company that you look at is who do they consider their stakeholders, and what does that look like? We start that report with our 5 stakeholders, and those include our hosts, our customers. And so those are the people who would actually go to the host house. It includes our employees. It includes the communities we serve. And then at the very end, not that it's the last thought, but is our shareholders. But it puts everyone ahead of the dollars. And so when you look at that report, you'll see right after that, we're talking about diversity. We're talking about the human side. And then as you work through that report, you'll see that we get into the ESG emissions and some of the other areas. But it's starting with the people first, and which is really key to the mission of Airbnb about belonging and making sure people's communities are well represented and that we connect with one another, that the ESG report follows suit.
Great. I definitely hear you on the social side. The World Bank's goal is a world free of poverty. So we always connect to economic inequality, any analysis or investments we do. And if people are interested, I mean, of course, worldbank.org/climate change. But I would draw your attention to a recent report on Turkey. It's our new product of very comprehensive modeling and analysis on climate. That would be very interesting to our students. Let's move on to question 3. So this is very helpful. We understand what you do. We see some of the resources. We can learn more about your companies. But can you unveil a little bit more? What kind of skills would you be looking for entry-level roles? What kind of roles would be coming up? What should students learn and put on their resumes so they can get the call for an interview? And I mean, you're welcome to maybe Karen, you start again.
Sure. So I think in our industry, it has shifted, which is, I think it's good news. We used to hire a lot from traditional marketing and PR courses. Now we do a lot more of hire for attitude and train on skills. Because our industry is changing so fast with the technology developments, etc. So we don't even know what people have studied is that relevant. But we do like people from all walks of life. We really want to reflect diversity also in the areas where our either interns or first job people come from. I would always say that there's 3, and it happens to be 3 C's. You're in PR or you're not, but it's like curiosity, the collaboration skills, and creativity skills. Those are the 3 that if you bring those to the table, you can get very far. And in our case, very often our entry-level jobs start with an internship in one of our agencies. We very, very often, we give our interns who've been doing a good job priority when it comes to entry-level jobs. We hire a lot of interns, mostly. If anybody's interested, you have to reach out to me the end of the year for an internship next year. So it's kind of like it starts in January. Our agencies start to look at it. So I would say those 3 skills, no matter what you've been studying, if you're interested in a very strategic reputation building, brand enhancing industry, those 3, curiosity, collaboration, and creativity. And if you highlight that in your resume, you'll make a good chance.
Thank you. Thank you. Manjit, what would you like to share?
So interestingly enough, I mean, sustainability, the way we see it, I mean, because we're doing a lot of research, we kind of have to have everything. So a lot of the teams within my team are sector-based teams. So we have people that come from, industry, we have people that come from academia, we have people that come from finance, because really sustainability is about the intersection of all those things, right? It's about how these things touch, everyday problems that we have in the world. We have actually an associate program within my team where we take a handful of associates each year that go through a pretty rigorous, about 10-month training program. And we really try to always find a balance of skills. So a balance of, diverse backgrounds, geographies, but also in terms of what people have studied, because you need it all. We need, the deep thinkers. We need the people that have the math skills more and more. We need the people that have the technology skills. But we have people that have studied, economics, geography, environmental sciences, biology. In a way, it doesn't really matter because everyone brings something to the table. I think an interest in economics and business is clear because you need to understand how sustainability is shaping all these kind of market forces. But I think most importantly, just passionate about the subject. Because, if I look at the people that work with me, overall, we're about 800 people in Sustainable One, which is the ESG kind of heart of S&P. And everyone is so committed to what they do. People come to work and it's certainly more than just a job. And I think that's something that brings people together and really creates, a lot of passion and dedication and teamwork, which I think is essential.
Thank you. Thank you. Gio, what would be your insights?
So I will come at it maybe a little differently from my background. And Majid kind of mentioned this, where it kind of intersects with a lot of different areas. So for those of you who are like, I'm interested in sustainability, but I'm also interested in being in more on the accounting or reporting function. Well, the intersectionality of that with sustainability is here with the new SEC rules. And so from my perspective, from where I sit, what are we looking for someone who's going to walk in the door and be able to help with some of the reporting and understanding of the ESG, the controls around how do you make sure that information is accurate and complete and repeatable and has all the controls in place. I think, people who want to do public accounting, that's a great entryway into a position such as mine that would deal with that part of it. There's internships at Airbnb from all different levels in different areas, I should say. So, I'll provide that website for folks if they're interested to come look. But many of the attributes that were spoken about the curiosity, the passion is all similar there. The thought, leadership, the curiosity, because some of this stuff is unknown to an extent. So you just kind of have to keep digging to understand more. Just the appetite to learn and to even forge ahead where maybe something's not there before. Not being afraid to step out are some characteristics that would be very helpful in stepping into an organization who has sustainability as part of their thrust.
Great. Thank you for that perspective. So we have heard 3 areas from Karen: curiosity, collaboration, creativity, and your advice to contact her regarding internships towards the end of the year. Manjit mentioned that people come from many areas: industry, academia, finance, and there's an associate's program, and that they're looking for balance of skills and definitely passion. Evongia mentioned the public accounting aspect of getting into sustainability, looking at reporting, control, accurate information, repeatable information. I can add on the World Bank side, an entry-level skill is definitely, there's a huge demand for technical skills and working with data analysis, and those technical skills are very valuable and a way to sort of start their program management skills from then come in very big, and sort of the organization teaches some of that as well. So most people would sort of start with technical skills and build up program management skills as we go. All right, so final question, it's about 2:30. If we were, so one could have the most impressive resume and still not get the interviews or not get the job. How can you tell me some personal stories of how you made it into this field? How did you land that first job? Or maybe how did you end up at this assignment working on sustainability? We heard a little bit from Lebron on that. That was super interesting. Kind of keeping your options open, saying yes. Really just personal examples would be great, and anything to kind of clue in students about how do you build the reputation? How do you build the career?
Well, for me, I have a funny story. So when I was in college, I decided I wanted to focus on accounting. And one of the things I did is I joined the accounting forum, which is a community there. And in that community, we would have mixers with potential employers. And I ended up networking with a potential employer, which was Coopers and Lybrand. They're now they're PwC. But somehow, just through communication and just being authentic with this person, we got on the subject of my earring. He was fascinated with my earring. And that earring carried through communications thereafter, where I just kept in touch. And I eventually got an offer to come to the company and work there, which was just kind of off the cuff, and putting yourself in a position of networking, I would say, is really key, especially while you're still in college. Any network of that you're passionate about or that you're interested in, just get involved and network, because you never know where that leads you. And so that led me to public accounting. And then for the ESG world, like I said earlier, just raising my hand when I was in another organization When I heard about ESG, I knew it was coming. I knew it was important. And as they kept asking me, would you do this? Would you do that? I just kept saying yes, yes. And that led me actually here, because that's how I met the person that asked me to be a part of this in DC at the Sustainability Week. So just kind of a series of putting yourself out there, being open to stepping into positions, even into places that you're not sure about, and learning as much as you can.
No, fascinating. Thank you, Levangia. Manjito, Karen, do you want to jump in?
I'm happy to jump in. I also have a funny story because I studied law and political sciences, and I was slated to go and be a marketing management trainee in one of the bigger CPG companies. And I mean, I'm talking a long time ago, and it was incredibly traditional and conservative. And in the meantime, I had my old friend who was a lecturer at the university. He said, oh, I know this big public affairs, public relations agency in the Netherlands where I'm from. And why don't you go and see them? I know you're already lined up, but just go and see them. It might be interesting. So I went there. Long story short, it was completely different. It was full of energy and buzz and all these young people running around. And I was like, this is where I want to be. And so I followed my gut feeling and I jumped in, and that's been the beginning of my pretty fun career. And so I would agree with Levangia, networking, be it at the university or college, really build your profile on LinkedIn, and don't hesitate to reach out to people over LinkedIn. I'm almost always, when it's a serious question, and I know that goes for many of my colleagues, we always treat them with respect and try to help as much as we can. So I'm not sure I was supposed to be in this field, but I've loved it ever since. So
fascinating. All right, Manjit, definitely very curious to hear from you.
So I won't bore you with funny stories, but I think definitely what we're seeing today is, it has become such an interesting and kind of dynamic part of the finance world that you have a lot of people that are now trying to get into sustainability because they see that that's where kind of the future is headed. Maybe, personal interest as well. But what we see, with, I think, successful candidates is, you haven't been able to study sustainability in business for a very long time. That's a relatively new field. It's not something that all business schools offer. So if you have the opportunity and you're interested in this, take it. But also, these topics are things that touch us every day. So just by way of like showing interest and being engaged on things that matter to you, I think you can bring such a wealth of information to that first interview. And, when we're looking at candidates that have, the right technical skills and, the right education, not necessarily sustainability, but bring that passion and that know-how, just because they're following it, because they care about it, I think that sets them apart. Those are the candidates that we tend to invite back for a second interview versus the ones that come and say, well, I heard this is a kind of a cool thing and I want to be part of it, but don't kind of bring that, genuine passion, and also kind of haven't done their homework in advance.
Can you tell us also a little bit, I'm curious myself, you started with Robocosam and then that was acquired. So were you at the ground floor of a startup? Could you tell us a bit about that?
So the company I worked for started doing sustainable investing in 1994, and people thought they were absolutely insane. They thought the word sustainability didn't really even exist. So they thought that these people were crazy, but they were very successful. And I came out of business school, during the financial crisis, and the financial world looked very differently. And surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, our company was actually doing very well. So while the rest of the financial, markets and communities, what was kind of crashing, investing in sustainable things like, solutions to water problems or energy problems was really taking off. And so, by way of chance, I managed to get an internship there in a team that didn't exist. So I was, employee number one to kind of build what has turned into this massive thing today. And I was very fortunate because, it was taking a bit of a gamble. And for the longest time, we were definitely seen as kind of, the tree huggers in the financial industry. And we weren't taken seriously. but it paid off, you know, and then you had to be resilient and you had to kind of go through that phase. But yeah, it was it's been an exciting journey to see where it started and where we are today.
Right. So we saw stories from Lebron with starting from accounting, but saying yes, and definitely a lot of network. Karen, also interesting, slightly different background. You were attracted to the field. Manjit started at the ground floor of Rebecca. My story was I have an NGO background as an undergrad, and I was really excited about the environmental field. And I was always kind of pushing my head against the economic case. Starting some recycling programs in Bulgaria, where I'm from, and so I thought I'm going to go study environmental economics. That gave me quite a few technical skills of analysis of data and coding, and actually that's sort of what got me in the door at the World Bank. I was very clear I wanted to do environment and development, and the environment, even at UN organizations such as the World Bank in the early 2000s, was rather a thin work program. And so I started using my econometric skills. That's how I got in. And then I started sort of getting my foot in the door on analysis of utilities, analysis of subsidies. Let's do environmental projects. And now, you know, we are building even more climate and environment group. Is still relatively small as compared to other groups. And you could do sustainability across different practices as well. And I definitely network with my graduate school. So I basically found out a list of everyone who was at the World Bank, who graduated Berkeley. And I said, hello from Berkeley, and I would love to talk to you. And finally someone said, oh yeah, I have a little bit of analysis here, you take it. And that's how I got started. So thank you so much. It's now time for the student Q&A. And we have a question from Kenza Zakaria, who's graduating in May 2024. In math and econ, all right, my fields, Colorado College. Kenza, please go ahead.
Yes, hello, thank you for sharing with us your experiences. I really appreciate it. I just want to ask about how the internships program work and what do students usually get afterwards, after the program, what do they gain during the program, and how that boosts their career afterwards. So just from the companies you're working with and the experiences you've had with interns previously. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Karen, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our internships people apply for internships mostly at the individual agencies. As I said, we have over 300 agencies. They're all to be found on our website. And they apply for internships there. Agencies have different protocols for selecting, but one of the things is that they look very much at diversity of the interns pool. And they have different places, and they have different number of places as well, but it's always, you have to kind of like, you have to be interviewed, and sometimes you have to do a project with a group to see exactly if you have those collaboration skills, and maybe you don't have to have, you know, a background in PR but you can still be asked to work together to solve a problem. And it's really important because we almost exclusively hire our first entry employees from our intern pool. So what you get is you get 3 months of very widespread and well-mentored work opportunities. You shadow teams on client assignments, whether it's brand building or events or an advertising campaign, whatever it is. And then you will get an assessment at the end. And when you've done a good job, I mean, the interns that do the good job, but that's the first ones that we recruit going forward.
Thank you. Manjit, Lebron, want to jump in?
So our associate programs are quite focused. We usually take students that are done with their studies, so kind of recent undergrads or even people that have completed their masters. I wouldn't call it an internship because it's pretty intense. It's about 10 months. I would look at it more like a trainee program. And normally speaking, this is our way of kind of building talent, and making sure that they either find a place within my team or somewhere else within our broader sustainability organization. And that really allows them to kind of get a whole range of skills, from like communication, interaction with clients, data analysis, research projects, thought leadership, which I think is quite nice. And I would say we've managed to keep most of the people, if they've been willing to stay, over the last few years. And we've also had people that have been interns and are now heads of ESG at big companies as well. So it's kind of boot camp for all things sustainability, which is quite nice.
Amazing. Lebron.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Airbnb, we have a pretty robust internship program on our website. You'll be able to see and connect with someone there. And our internships span a lot of different areas. It's not specific to one area. And we do hire from our internship pool at the end, if they're at that point where they're graduating from college. Right. And depending on, like Karen said, what were the results, what were, how did they perform, and all those different things. It is a great way to get your foot in the door in organizations. I know I've done a couple of internships when I was in college. One was the IRS. I knew I didn't want to go there. Another one was actually with the bookkeeping company, which ended up becoming a great just training ground for me. And then obviously, like I told you, I went into public accounting from college. But I think internships, no matter where you go, if you perform well and you show up, there's probably going to be an opportunity for you to go with that company at the end.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a lot of questions. I want to chime in about the World Bank. If you have interest about the World Bank, please contact me on LinkedIn. I can wear your ear off about World Bank internships and growth. Maya Moore, can you please come on and introduce yourself and tell us what your question is?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and just like chatting with us about sustainability. So my name is Maya Moore. I'm a rising sophomore at the University of Maryland in College Park studying business management. And I have an interest in pursuing a minor in sustainability. So my question for you today is, what is like one thing that you enjoy the most about your job in sustainability? And what is one thing that you found challenging in your career?
All right. I see Karen smiling.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll kick it off if that's okay. But because you make me smile, it's a great question. So what I love the most is that we have about 70,000 people all over the world in Omnicom, and there's so much passion for environmental sustainability. Like everybody wants to play a part and contribute. That's also the biggest challenge because we do want to keep some central coordination to make sure that we're all moving in the right direction together. So sometimes that enthusiasm can lead to commitments that may not be the ones that we want to make. But I'll take that anytime because the passion is the most important.
Yeah, the drive recently has been amazing. Manjit and
Yeah, maybe just to add to that, I think one thing that I found and this is just, speaking to friends, for example, that work in different professions, especially in the financial industry, work in banking or in other roles in finance, they can work in risk management, and that's super interesting. And I think, people are excited about it, but that glue that holds people together, that thing that is not just the job, but it's that kind of that commitment, that passion, the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. I haven't ever seen that kind of outside of sustainability. That is certainly something that I'm so fascinated by every day I come to work. And when I see, young people in my team and how, they interact with each other, that is, that's certainly what keeps me going, even when things are a bit challenging. So yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing about working in the sustainability world. If you get to work with people that are like-minded, is that you kind of, don't have to convince each other that it's important and there's something, more than just your job that's going to be driving you.
I have to agree. There's definitely, you feel who are the tree huggers, and it's definitely a different culture within that global practice for us as well. Lebron?
Yeah, for me, it has been just the unknown and being able to forge through it. The sustainability reporting side has been new for my area of profession, and just trying to figure out what's the best path forward, what's going to end up actually being the requirement. It's sort of just like, it kind of gets your blood pumping, right? You're trying to figure out all the different angles. What I really love about it is I'm actually connecting with people who are in the same boat as I am in these professional organizations. And so we're trying to figure it out together. And I love teaming. I love collaboration. And so it really is my happy place when I get to do that. And then just being in something new and being at the forefront of that as it comes to the SEC reporting side of that is great. Now, I've always had a little bit of touch of sustainability in my life. My very first car was a hybrid. I was told back then in 2006, I was crazy to spend that money. It wasn't going to be, it's not going to pay off. I still have that hybrid, and, I'm saving a lot of money on gas. And I'm producing less of a footprint.
Me too. Argadeep Das. I will actually, since we have a lot of questions, I would love to sort of take only one answer from one person from the panel, so we could ask more questions. Argadeep Das, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself, please, and ask the question.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, everybody. I'm Argadeep. I'm from India, and I was part of the Paragon 1 NGS plus TNC externship last year. And since then, it has been like a really crazy ride. My question to the panelists is, so for entry-level roles, we often see this criteria of having at least often like 2 years or minimum of 2 years of experience. Like this is just like a trend which has been going on. So my question to the panelists is, what can companies or organizations do to enable like greater entry-level opportunities for students and to like shift away from this quote unquote trend that has been set, especially in the sustainability field, which is like entry-level roles with like minimum of 2 years of experience, which is just like outrageous. Thank you.
Tough question.
I can try. I fully agree with what you're saying. It's a bit of a chicken and egg kind of situation. I will say up until now, there have been few opportunities, I think, in the kind of the broader sustainability space. Often they're very short internships, like a month here, a month there, which obviously, if you're going to take 1 month internships to get to that 2 years, it's going to take you a while. But I do think that is changing. I think there is so much demand that we will see roles open up. I mean, just in India alone, we have a lot of people in India. And if I look at the market in India for junior level positions, I mean, we are hiring hundreds of people almost every year in very junior roles, and they're not necessarily coming from sustainability backgrounds. So a lot of the training happens on the job. So as I was saying before, bringing personal interest, showing that you're up to kind of speed on what's happening in the sustainability world, which is not something you have to go to school for necessarily, I think helps. Because those are people that certainly, when we read their CVs, stand out versus others. And then, yes, I agree. It's for organizations like ourselves to work harder on having those programs. And I think, that's why we try to offer associate programs that are not just a 1 month internship, but they're something that are a bit more, holistic and provide you really with all the skills that you need to really then start working full time.
Right. Fantastic. Jacob Rose, please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jacob Rose. I'm a junior at Boston University studying business analytics and finance currently. And my question, although it's aimed a little bit more towards Manjeet's experience, any of you are welcome to answer. I was asking, how do you holistically evaluate a company using ESG, whether it be for an investment opportunity or even just for somewhere to move your career towards, somewhere to apply to or try to work for? How do you go about that, and what are your starting points?
Right. And that's primarily targeted on Manjit, right?
I'll be very short, but I do think, the companies that are actually hiring people, they can maybe speak to how important this is for them. So, I mean, we try to provide a kind of a holistic overview of all the topics that, not just we, but the investment community, but also companies think are important. And we, what my team does is we create ratings. So ratings, it's a number, but it's just a starting point, right? It's a starting point for you to decide, okay, what's important for me and how do I dive into that? And certainly what we know from speaking to companies is this is not just important for investors, but increasingly it is also important for job seekers because they want to, look at, I want to go work for a sustainable company. So the ratings that we produce are being used in different ways by companies as well to position themselves as being, the employer of choice and having a competitive advantage.
All right, Cyril Clement, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name's Cyril. I'm studying sociology at Cornell University, and I'm entering my senior year. I've been really enjoying this conversation, mostly just hearing about how you've brought something that you're passionate about into your career, which seems like something that's really tough to do, but you've been able to do it. So I'm just wondering what project that you've been most proud of in your sustainability journey and just seeing the direct impact of your work.
Great. Lebron, can you please take that one?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's an ongoing project that I'm in. It's just the understanding the landscape from an SEC reporting perspective, working across different departments in our organization. We have a group of people who live and breathe sustainability and everything, and just connecting with them, meeting with them, and helping to develop what does that future state look for us when we have to actually go and report this in our SEC documents.
Right. And huge impact with such a big platform as Airbnb. Grace Hansen, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Grace. I just graduated from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln with a major in international business. Like everyone has said, I've been really enjoying this talk just because sustainability is something I've definitely been interested in and I think would be a great fit for my major. So I was wondering if someone would be able to answer what they kind of think the future of sustainability jobs is going to look like in the next couple of years.
Karen, please.
Oh, I think there's a great future in environmental sustainability and ESG in general. It's only going to grow in importance. We're going to get more sophisticated in how we report on it and our actions. Every company, so many companies are still grappling with what constitutes good practices and best practices. And so, yeah, the future is very bright for people who want to go into environmental sustainability.
Fantastic. And we have a lot of questions and just a couple more minutes left. I'm just going to pick a little bit randomly from the list. Lydia Lu, please.
Hi, hello. Nice to meet you all. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences and passions about the sustainability career. I actually have two questions. So one is like, have you ever faced any dilemma where you're trying to solve like sustainable issues? For example, like the cost of reducing something is just way more expensive or costly than the thing itself. And also, since we're facing like an economic recession right now, so how much attention or actually funds in the market is devoted to sustainability at the moment?
All right, so how much sustainability is important given that we're facing an economic recession? Manjit, do you want to take that as more of an overview of clients seeking sustainability services?
Well, the good thing is that we don't see any dip in demand. So it almost seems that the worse things get in the world, whether it's economic or climate, the more interest there is in sustainability. So I do think that there is this focus on, well, we may be in an economic dip right now, but the climate challenge is not going to go away. So I think the private markets, investors, they're very interested in this, but I think it's important to understand that we are just part of a very complicated system of policymakers, governments, and and we have our role to play. But yeah, it will be interesting to see, and hopefully not see that decisions are made to address economic concerns at the expense of the climate. But that may happen.
And definitely with any of the development organizations, and I mean, if you look at the US plans to rebuild, they're all emphasizing build back better. So I think that that's there to stay. So with that positive note, we're at time, and I'm going to pass the floor to Cody.
Awesome. Thank you for those really great questions. Those were such thoughtful questions. So thank you, everyone, for those questions and just for being here and sharing this time and space. Of course, students and everyone attending, we might have business professionals, we might have educators in the room. Please join me in a very, very special thank you to Manjeet, Karen, and Lavongia for such a fantastic session today. In this amazing advice, we covered so much, right? And there is even more to cover, but we are so grateful for sharing this time. Thank you, Anna, for a wonderful moderation. We are so appreciative to everything you brought to the table, sharing your insights and experience in the World Bank. And thank you for opening yourself up to outreaches on LinkedIn after the session today. If you are still seeking other opportunities, many of you talked about virtual internships or externships at these companies, and please follow up, do your research, right? Always do your research before you reach out and ask, because there might be opportunities there. But if you're still searching for your next career step, or maybe the next resume builder, we want to let you know that we offer remote externships all year round. That's what we do here at Paragon One, as I mentioned at the beginning of our session today. So I want to share with you that we're getting ready to open our next round of remote externships with the National Geographic Society and the Nature Conservancy. So be sure to check out our website, paragon1.com. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and yes, TikTok. You can follow us on TikTok for more information about that program, but also about other programs with our partners like PwC, Beats by Dre, Meta, Pfizer, and HSBC. So definitely check those out, because there might be a really great one for you. And stay connected with us, stay connected with the peers here in this group and all of us. We want to make sure that we see you back here at another Bridges event in the future. So thank you so much for being excellent participants in today's Bridges event. Be well, and hope you all have a really great day and rest of your weekend. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.